everyone. Welcome to episode 18 of Taking Liberties. We've been back after a week break, and I've got Connor Whittle over in WA, Tim Wilms over from Victoria,
Hello.
and myself here in the ACT. So today's episode, not as exciting, obviously, since we don't have Lee or Tim, John Humphreys. I got John Humphreys confused with Tim Andrews there for a second. Never mind. But we do have a good show planned for today. It's going to be all about
It's actually
the police.
it's actually an international theme.
Very international theme, yeah. But it's all about police states. So the police state in the context of the shootings that occurred in Dallas and Baton Rouge, along with the two shootings preceding that, with I forgot the guy. I know one guy's name was Philandio Castile, because that name's practically unforgettable. I just don't remember the other name.
I remember both of how they died.
Yeah.
I remember, yeah.
I
remember the footage.
If I remember correctly, the Florida guy was Omar Mateen. Does that ring a bell?
That was the Orlando shooter.
That's the Orlando shooter, not the. The guy that got. Found the name.
Sorry, I thought we were talking about that one as well.
Yeah. No, that's been done to death, right. Unfortunately. Sorry, mate. We're also going to talk about police states in the context of, I guess you could say I can never get his name right. Erodigan? I don't know. I can never pronounce that name. But the president of Turkey, who's currently fled due to basically a military coup going on over there. Sorry, what?
And has since returned.
Yeah, especially since his thugs are out.
Well, he was actually on vacation. I don't think he actually fled, but was on vacation at the time.
Yeah. So there's obviously that conversation, and we're going to wrap it up with some discussion on what's going to happen after the terrorist attacks in Nice. Nice. Yeah.
Off to a good start.
So let's get started with the big ones. Obviously, what happened in the United States over the last 2 weeks. So starting with Aaron Sterling and Philandio Castile, two people who were basically killed by police officers and sparking another wave of Black Lives Matter riots, and spawning the Dallas shootings, and now 3 more officers killed in Baton Rouge. There seems to be a war between. Well, not a war, but there seems to be a lot of incitement of violence against the police these days, which is kind of surprising since for a long time, Radley Balco posted an article about a couple of months ago about how rare it was for police shootings to actually occur, because they've been going down quite steadily for the last couple of years. And yeah, part of that is
last year's police shootings was quite significantly down on the previous years.
Yeah, and there's been a downward trend for a long time now, and it's got Radley Balco basically associated it with the rising militarization of the police, saying it's affecting them. Sorry, it's affecting crimes against the police because people are less likely to try and fight armed security. People who are greatly armed compared to themselves.
So I think the big tragedy of what's happened with Black Lives Matter over the past year, but also turbocharged in the last few weeks, is that it's not a discussion about police brutality or militarization of the police force. It's about racism, and that Black Lives Matter seem to imply that all that needs to happen is the police and the American public in general, because they want to criticize the American public, just need to stop being racist and the problem would be solved. So you're seeing, this racial tension being inflamed, which is, I don't like to use the word race war, but that's sort of, what a lot of the language is. And Obama doesn't make it that much better when he sort of, sympathizes with, Black Lives Matter and says that, it's just a race problem.
That is an interesting point you bring up about how the discussion of this has shifted away from the historical militarization police state. Granted, this is the topic of this podcast, it's moved away from these historical, more libertarian related concepts to something which is, not really been seen for the past 10, 20 years, at least from what I'm gathering.
No.
So
I'd have to disagree. The entire thing about Black Lives Matter, there is a historical context to this. I mean, you might not remember the Rodney King riots. So the video footage of Rodney King.
I've heard of it.
Yeah, that was in 1990.
Yeah, rooftop Koreans, that sort of thing.
Sorry, what?
Rooftop Koreans.
What's rooftop Koreans?
During the Rodney King riots, Korean store owners were on their rooftops, and there's a lot of footage of them up there defending their stores. It sparked its own little meme. Well,
yeah. No. But I just remember the footage of just this black man basically getting his ass handed to him by the LA police, and it kind of it kind of spawned this entire question of, are the police racially motivated to beat the crap out of young black men, effectively? And if you look at the statistics, young black men only make up something like 6% of the population, but they're very highly represented in incarceration rates. They're very highly represented in basically cases of police brutality. They're very highly represented on the receiving end of police brutality, and they're very largely represented in police killings. Now, on a very facile look at those statistics, it would appear that the cops disproportionately use force against a particular segment of the population.
I still think it's the police treat everyone badly, but it's obviously more a percentage of the black population. They still hurt more white people, but it's more blacks than there are in the population. So that's because African Americans.
What you're trying to say is per capita the African American population is is disproportionately affected.
But also that's because they commit more crimes. I mean, they're not just like take for example the two recent police killings of black men that's triggered these recent retaliation shootings is that they weren't nice people. I mean, one was on parole, and the other one, the one who was killed in the car, was a suspect in a robbery, a recent robbery, and he fitted the profile of the robber. So it's not. The police aren't.
Are you talking about the two guys that were killed recently?
Yes.
So the one that was shot in the car, who was a legal gun holder, who disclosed that he had a weapon that was shot, and you're talking about the other one, who was in the end found not to have a weapon on him at all, and they shot him when he was on the ground, and they said that he had a weapon.
I'm not justifying the killings, but I'm saying it's not like the police, they're shooting black lawyers and doctors, and they are people who are who do have criminal records or are suspects.
I don't know, dude. I'm sitting. At least on the Philando Castile case, he didn't actually have a criminal record, and Aaron Sterling's last arrest was almost 5 years ago. And I'm sitting there going, exactly how much leeway are you giving the police on this?
Like I said, I'm not justifying what the police did. I'm just putting some context that the reason to make my point that the reason why blacks are disproportionately affected by police brutality is because they do commit more crimes than
I actually the rest of the population. So you said that twice now. I don't actually think that's true, and I don't think it's true largely because we know that a large proportion of the arrests that occur for the black population in America relate to non-violent drug offences. And I do not think that if you're saying, oh, hey, they commit a lot more crime, but most of them are non-violent drug offences, that we can say
Well,
blacks commit more crime, right? Like that's like saying, oh, we've made this specific law that, and there's historical evidence saying that Nixon started the drug war
I'm not,
specifically to
you're
target
missing the
lefties
point
and
that I'm
black
trying.
people.
You're missing the point that I'm trying to make is that I'm trying to make the point that this issue of police brutality should not be a race issue. It should be an issue about the police being, thugs and abusing their authority, and not
Sure.
having a regard for the general population. That's the reason why I'm bringing this up.
Okay.
Because
So you're effectively
perhaps in lesser words,
yeah.
Tim, your argument might be best summed up as
The police are psychos. The police are psychos. Not the police are psychos, not racists. Is effectively.
It's of proximity bias in that, whatever the reason, whether it's non-violent drug offences, this is something, not sure if it's the same words, but something which happens in Australia with white guys and whatever. It's that the more you commit crimes, the more the police know about you, the more they interact with you and that certain demographic. It's just the rate of interaction with the police means naturally there's going to be more interactions, and of that there's going to be a subset which is lethal interactions. Here in Australia, I know people who firsthand have interacted with the police since a young age, and know people who do, and they. These people now, they're adults, they have businesses, they have this, that and the other, and they can still kind of put in fairly good words in that they know you and they know what you look like, not just simply personally. Like this guy with the mile long rap sheet of some pretty horrible stuff. I mean, police will know this guy. Not necessarily saying that's what happened on that particular night, but you understand the demographic. If the cops pull over some gaunt-faced, unshaven white guy with a hoodie and the wraparound sunglasses, going, "You what, mate?" and answers to the name of Darren, Commodore or whatever. It's it's like, all right, this guy does this thing. Don't like him. He doesn't like me, because there's that interaction, and as a result, there's more likely going to be it happens less in Australia, obviously, but there's going to be an increased chance of fatal interaction.
True.
Which is a really, really PC way of saying getting shot. But,
Yeah. No. I actually can agree with proximity bias. It's just in these particular cases. So Philandio Castile, Aaron Sterling does have a mile long rap sheet. And
I don't know too much about this. The guy that was shot in the car. I've seen a few pictures.
Yeah. So the guy.
I know more about the real scumbag of the two.
Yeah.
As to people who may not especially know, what's the story of Castile?
So the Philandio Castile effectively was just being pulled over.
It was because he fitted the description of a suspect in a robbery.
Not actually true. They said the cops pulled over. So what the description that was given was two black people in a car, right? So they pulled over this guy and his wife, who just happened to be driving through the area, right, in an old car. He does not have a record, right? Absolutely nothing. He's a legal firearms holder, right? And when they pulled him over, he basically was like, police, the first thing they say is, hand over your, can I see your license and registration, right? Apparently, the guy disclosed that he had a gun in the car, right, as he was handing the ID. This is according to the wife, by the way. And most of these details are confirmed by the police. And the cop basically, allegedly, according to the police, said, drop it, don't pull it out, right? And his wife yelled, he has a license, right? And then at that point, he was shot. Now, that's the wife's version. The police's version is that they never asked for ID and registration, which I find absolutely unbelievable because that is the first question you're asked. I do not for a second believe that a police officer would pull over a car and not ask for ID and registration. I'm sorry, that just does not happen on this planet.
To play complete unknowing devil's advocate here, could he not have, this is all, again, this is back to on hypotheticals, could he not have said the first thing, I mean, if I was a law-abiding firearms owner in the US, probably the first thing I would say, even before the cop starts it, is I have, and then it could go downhill from there.
It's possible, but the state law which he's from regarding firearms is that yes, he has to disclose that he has a weapon. So in which case he would have been following the state law which he's from. In which case the cop shouldn't have shot him anyway. Then it becomes a Second Amendment rights issue. In which case it's even much more serious, and the cop is 100% in the wrong in that case. So
we've gone through it step by step. So which is the point you wanted to raise, Vikas?
No. So like step by step, so personally, Philando Castile is the much more important of the two cases because I'm a strong Second Amendment supporter in the States. And
There was also, I did hear as well that the local county said that he didn't have a concealed carry permit from that area. That's just
doesn't matter.
Concealed
carry is done at the state level, so it doesn't matter. You can't if the state has a concealed carry law, a county can't say we ignore that. It's a simple supremacy rule.
Well, they said they couldn't find a record.
It doesn't matter. He had a license. He had a license at the end of the day. That's a fact on the table. Like no matter what the county says, he had a license at the end of the day. He could show it. In fact, it was in the car.
Okay, keep going.
Yeah, so I'm just saying, like the NRA should be fighting this tooth and nail, and I agree with a lot of my libertarian friends in America who are saying like, I feel like I don't have to give money to the NRA anymore because they clearly don't support Second Amendment rights, and there are better Second Amendment institutions in the United States.
They should have been giving it to gun owners of America.
Yeah, which is.
I've actually just as a thing here, I was waiting for that to be brought up. I've heard some things from the States that GOA is like they had a lot of potential, and now they've kind of gone full tinfoil. And not the funny libertarian way, just the real anti.
They're against the serial number of weapons itself.
Not tinfoil. No, they've become like a real insiders club, and it's like just a shit organisation to be a part of. This is just hearsay.
You're right. That is absolute hearsay. No, so I've heard that too, and I've met people at their stalls before. They did seem a little bit kooky. The biggest thing that came to my mind in terms of their kookiness is they believe the serial numbers on weapons are government infringements on the Second Amendment, and I'm sitting there going, well, not really. That's just
fully. Hell yeah.
Yeah, that's just a weapon serial. Weapon serials come from like the actual weapons manufacturers themselves.
Yeah,
they're associated with.
But
with
you should be allowed to buy. You should be allowed to buy weapons without serials.
Sure.
They're associated with a lot of groups in the Patriot movement. So, like they're associated with the John Birch Society. They're featured on Alex Jones's show quite a few times. It was interesting though. Larry Pratt was actually interviewed by the 7:30 Report on the ABC the other night.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah, no, they're a little bit.
Do they advertise next to their water filters? Buy my water filters.
Look. Yes, I'll take your point that they're a little bit kooky, but at least they're actually making the Second Amendment case on Philando Castile's standpoint. Now, I don't know how that'll actually turn out in the end, but I'm sitting there and going like, So here's the thing: I actually don't believe the police on this one. It's like the police story makes no sense to me, and that's based on how I know police to act. I've never heard a police officer walk up to my car and not say license and registration. I'm sorry, that's just never happened to me. And if that's happened to someone, please post in our comments section because I'd love to hear about this story. It's just I've never heard it happen. So yeah, please enlighten me with your story of a police officer pulling you over and asking you about your day.
It's not quite as trivial as Australian cops pulling over and not wearing a high vis fluoro, because that's a big no-no. It's
It is, yeah.
OH.
But that's an OH&S issue, yeah.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's still big. Yeah.
So yeah, moving on to our second topic, I guess, the killing of cops, the retaliation, the retaliation against them.
Hold on, I think should we tackle? I think we should tackle what why they're even brought up in the first place. If surely white people regarding guns and cars and cops, white people surely have been shot before. All right.
Yeah.
Why is it that the second that a black person is shot in, like, possibly, if there's the shadow of a doubt of them being absolute scumbags in the case of one of them, or why is it that the media instantly jumps on and says, oh, look, horrible, terrible white racist cops killing black men, this is shocking, you should write.
Because that's more sensational.
Did you actually watch the video? I mean, even if you want to say that he's a scumbag, that's fine. He has a moral rap sheet, so it's probably right. But if you take a look at the video, he's pinned down by two cops, right? And one of them yells out, "He's got a gun," and the other guy pulls out a gun straight to his back and shoots him while he's pinned down on the ground, saying that he's resisting arrest.
We're going into describing the two incidents again when where Connor was talking about the issue that, yes, there is, unarmed white people being shot as well.
I don't doubt that at all, but like he's asking why the media went apeshit on this, right? And I'm saying, did you watch the video, right? If you watch the video, it becomes really obvious why it's easily sensationalized.
Yeah.
It is,
but the media still beat it.
I can still argue about heat of the moment, and suddenly things going from 6, 7 to up to 11 in half a second.
Yeah.
But I still, it's still very
it's actually it's got, so it's not as if the media is going like, oh, we got to find black people getting shot and try and sensationalize that. It's just the videos of these particular black people getting shot makes the cops look really bad, right?
Yeah, which the media, these are the ones that the media has, people have filmed, so they're the ones the news runs with. Rather than commenting on the actual statistics of police brutality, it's much easier and better for ratings for the media to just say, look, racism in America, it's the old thing,
Do we just want to chalk this up to just making money?
No, see, it's not just that, right? It's also the actual example. So yes, there's a narrative behind it, but at the same time, these two as actual examples are very illustrative filmed. Of a point. Correct. But they're also illustrative of the point they're making, right? It's not as if you can say...
But the issue in the news should be police brutality, militarization of the police force, not just, racist white America, which seems to be what the media is implying.
Wasn't it the cop that shot the guy on the ground? Wasn't he like a Chinese American? Not.
No.
They count him as a.
No. So the one that killed Philandio Castile was Hispanic. The one that killed what's his name? The one that killed Aaron Sterling. So no, the one that was pinning down Aaron Sterling was a former KKK member. Yeah, not kidding you. Yeah, that, like, Twitter took all of 30 minutes to find that out, and I'm sitting there going like, "Oh my fucking god!"
Vikas, you seem to be, from what you're saying, is that there seems to be nothing wrong with basically race war narrative that Black Lives Matter and the media are beating up in response to this.
Hey, look, just because that one cop was KKK, he wasn't the one that fucking pulled the trigger, dude. But like, yes, that guy has a race problem. Maybe he did in the past.
Well, yeah, one person. But do you think this issue is racism or police brutality?
No, I actually agree with you. It's a police brutality problem. I just don't think that you can dismiss the fact that there is a race element to it, right? And yes, like Connor mentioned earlier, there is a proximity issue as well. There is a proximity element to it. There is a race element to it. There's a multitude of things that go into this, and saying like, oh, it's not all of that, it's just police brutality. It misses the fact that, like, just calling the police, just calling all the cops psychos is fucking easy to do. It doesn't actually solve anything, right? That's the problem with that argument. That's the problem with that entire line of reasoning.
Well, because the solution to this is actual changes in the police culture and the way they arrest and have community relations. It's not just, the police need to go to, race sensitivity training.
Well, nobody suggested they go to race sensitivity training. Nobody suggested.
They
probably already do.
I take half of my ordained knowledge from Stefan Molyneux, but half of them, I loved old Steph. Half of them, when it comes to actual shoot kill training, there's measurable differences between white targets and black targets, in that white and black cops hesitate to shoot black targets.
That'd be interesting.
It's a thing. It's like measurable. They go, is this going to ruin my career? Am I going to be put up on media? Will I be threatened? Will everything turn to shit? But if it's like, it's a white person.
So that's interesting. So that'd be interesting, because that'd be a recent development.
Okay.
Yeah, because
I fully look.
Yeah.
I do not think this sort of attitude would not happen before the age of smartphones.
Oh yeah.
These days it's ultimately massively accountable. This is
basically
the double-edged sword of of those police body cameras.
Yeah.
I mean, as libertarians, we go, yes, okay, we want police body cameras to keep the cops accountable.
Yep.
We do kind of understand that if the cops really were the ones in fault, that footage is disappearing. But the big thing of police body cameras might actually be the reverse of that, and that it's the police showing that, we have the footage, we have a different perspective of what happened.
Yeah. Actually, so
really interesting. But
so I was actually going to make a point to that. So the statistics on those body cams is that 95% of the time, I think it was, like so it was law enforcement. One of the law enforcement agencies put this out. Police body cameras, despite the fact that they're opposed by a lot of unions, actually exonerate officers way more, like orders of magnitude more than they're ever used to convict them. Which to me actually makes perfect sense, right? Like the police don't, as bad as they are in certain scenarios, the police don't actually go out of their way to get into trouble. They're just, at the end of the day, is like any other public servant. So, I mean, I tend to believe that all these things are when policing just goes haywire. There isn't a systemic sort of thing where the police go out to try and create trouble. And where that does occur, it's bad. But, like, it's not common, is my general understanding of it.
The police, they do have, like, they have send SWAT teams out when it's not needed, and nearly every federal department has their own SWAT team and their SWAT team unions. And there have been times where they've sent SWAT teams to the wrong property, killed a whole bunch of pets.
Yeah, but that's a problem.
Yeah.
But that's the problem.
It's like anytime, just as an anecdote, anytime someone is on weapons forums and they're posting something which may or might not be grey zone legal, like a short barrel rifle or something for this particular stock, it's fairly common to at the end of the post, it's like, ATF, please don't shoot my dog.
Yeah. So I can believe that. Yeah, look, yes, police are probably subject to incompetence like any other government department. It's just unfortunate that when they do fuck up, that things die. And that's actually the problem with no-knock warrants, which is another thing I think is fucking bullshit. The only reason they exist is because of the drug war, and the drug war is bullshit in my mind.
Yeah, a lot of this, police brutality and gun violence in America is because of the drug war. Because American law enforcement is so hawkish on drug laws compared to countries such as ours.
Well, actually, we're pretty hawkish on drug laws as well. It's just we don't have very many of them. Have you seen the price of drugs in Australia? Yeah, that's enough to convince you to stop doing drugs.
Everything's if a bottle of Corona costs $11 at a pub, nightclub, whatever, it's like $11 for Corona, $25 for a bag of weed, whatever. It's roughly comparable. It's just everything's in Australian inflated, silly.
Well, that's actually one of the points I've made before to friends. I'm just like, one day we'll all be able to afford to have coke habits. Yeah. So.
Well, in Germany, I mean, to anyone who's travelled overseas, you go to Europe, go to Germany especially, and they've got. How much is a bottle of Gordon's gin here in Australia? How much is nice gin? You're looking at high 30s, 40s. Yeah. In Germany, it's a few dollars, it's a few euros.
Well, yeah. Try the
German
United
drinking
States.
culture is great.
The amount of tax here is absolutely incredible.
Dude, try the United States. Like a happy hour is $1 for a pint.
I had in Austin, Texas. Went with a bunch of Australian backpackers, and we went down to I was 19 at the time, drinking age 21. We go down fairly close, a bit south, to a nice Mexican restaurant. No, they barely speak any English. It's okay, whatever. We can point at food. We've got money. We buy a bottle of Sol, a litre of Sol for $1.
Yeah.
And even though I'm 19, some of us were a bit worried that we'd be asked for ID, but I assured them that there's no worry because we could ask the Mexican waiters the same. It was all,
ask them for their papers.
Yeah,
they habla inglés. Yeah.
We got money. No, it's maybe if the price of alcohol dropped, it would also drop the price of drugs. Who knows?
Maybe. But let's move on to the next topic now, which is, I guess, Turkey being a bunch of turkeys.
There are other words.
Well, that was the nicest way I could put it. I mean...
The coup that wasn't.
The what that wasn't?
The coup that wasn't.
The coup that wasn't. I just realised Turkey's having a coup. Get it?
I'm surprised I haven't heard that joke yet.
So am I. I can't believe I just thought of it then.
You heard it first on this podcast.
Yeah, exactly. So, I find the entire... So, am I right?
Are we going to get straight to conspiracy theories? Because I want to get straight to conspiracy theories.
I would love
to. Go. I think I know what the conspiracy theory is, but please go ahead.
Go ahead. Come on.
Oh, I don't know. I'm sure I could whip up a big one and probably involve Russia trying to retake Constantinople or something. No, continue.
No, that's actually not. That is not a bad one. That is not a bad one though, because Ivan the Terrible, was it Ivan the Terrible? did start calling Moscow the Third Rome, which would make Byzantium or Constantinople. Constantinople. Yes, Constantinople would have been the second Rome, and Rome would have been the original Rome. So that's not a bad conspiracy theory if you want to play it along historical lines.
Well, okay, let's kind of go down this route. Russia does not want any more involvement from Turkey with NATO because there's that Russian warplane incident. I mean, the Turks are funding.
Russia is trying to fight ISIS, and Turkey is sympathetic to what ISIS is doing.
Yeah, double bad.
Yeah, but Russia wants to support Syria, and Turkey would like to destabilize Syria.
Okay, we've got a potential outside actor inside Turkey. There's still the nuclear weapons. We've got Turkey trying to join the Eurozone. So a coup really, really works well with Russia, and Russia has it's the grand chess master of all foreign relations.
I want to get Boris Johnson involved in this because, Turkey's trying to get into the EU. He just got Britain out of the EU.
Yeah, look,
we need to work this in somehow.
That project is up in flames now. Turkey is never going to be in the EU now.
Yeah, because Boris Johnson made it impossible.
All right. So anyway, we were trying to have something semi-serious here. There was a coup. Hundreds of people were shot. You know, palaces bombed. Whatever. Okay. Erdogan, whatever.
It sounds like a lot of the Rings villain.
Yeah.
It does! Thank you for noticing that. I was just sitting there going like, why do I feel like I'm talking about a Lord of the Rings character?
Anyway, it's a bad sounding name. He may as well have Mal in his name somewhere.
Drogon, yeah.
Okay, so everyone knows fairly bastard dictator in waiting.
The interesting thing is he didn't start as a dictator. He came in as a reformist. And quite popular.
Yeah, they all start like
They all
that.
do.
I mean, Robert Mugabe was, a reformer originally.
Yeah.
It's the whole thing when you become a dictator for life, everything changes.
True.
So everyone, Caesar, Hitler, Napoleon, you name it, they've done it. They were the reformers.
I get the feeling that people,
Chavez was also democratically elected.
Okay. You just hit one of my like little historical goads that, well, like one of those things I don't like from a historical perspective. Caesar is not a good example of a dictator. He got kicked out within 5 years. Okay. Augustus, on the other hand.
Yeah.
Augustus or Aurelius.
Caesar. How do you say it? Caesar. Anyway.
Caesar.
They tried. So yeah, Turkey. So what happened? What's your grand insight into this?
Well, the other conspiracy theory that I heard was that the Turkish president he organised it himself so he could declare a police state, and so that it was a false flag to so he could become a proper dictator.
I want to run with that, but involve Obama somehow. I feel like it would be hard if Obama.
Well, we could be serious, but whatever.
No, so like from my personal perspective, I've been to Turkey a long time ago in a galaxy far away. By that I mean about 5 years ago. And like the country is actually drastically divided. Like there's this, like they talk about 1 foot in Europe, 1 foot in Asia, right?
The Middle East, I'd say.
It's definitely Asia. We call Asia, when we say Asia, we think of like, the Oriental regions. When they say Asia, they're thinking of like the Middle East. But, side issue, when I went there, like Constantinople and everything on like the European side, I can't remember what they call it, but that's very, like the culture is very similar to Mediterranean Europe, right? Like the only difference is effectively that they speak Turkish, like instead of Greek. Really. Like, you can get alcohol everywhere, people are smoking, bicycles for some reason, lots of bicycles.
That is a sign of European cities.
Yeah, but, very European. You don't feel out of place out of the rest of Europe. But you cross over to the Ankara side, and then all of a sudden, batshit crazy Muslim people everywhere. A mosque everywhere, prayers running 5 times a day, and then you're just like, well, I'm in the Middle East again. And it's a country of really vast contrast in that sense.
It's what Samuel Huntingdale called a civilizational fault line.
Ooh, that's a good description. I'm not familiar with that author, but yeah, I would definitely agree with that. And as far as I can tell, Erdogan came in as a reformer, a secularist, and to sort of, if you can imagine, most of the population is actually on the Ankara side, but it's like spread out. He seems to be trying to merge or sort of like deal with the different.
His party is an Islamist party. The party that he's a member of is an Islamist party.
Yeah.
And there's. You are under him. There has been the Islamization of Turkey over the past decade.
Yeah, and that's historically that's something that they've been very much against since the end of World War One.
Yeah,
because Ataturk was a massive secularist, and that's just like so they were big on this idea of Turkish nationalism as opposed to Islamism.
Well, it kind of historically it makes a lot of sense. The Turkey, look, we do tend to forget about the thing called the Turkish Empire.
Well, it was never called the
Empire.
Turkish Empire. It was called the Ottoman
Sorry.
Empire.
Ottoman, sorry,
And
one of
which
those.
was
One of those.
the original caliphate.
No, the original caliphate
No,
was there.
no. It was,
the original
it
caliphate was Arabic. No, the Umayyads were the original caliphate. This was.
Turkey's actually got a lot more. Turkey's got a lot more, like biologically and deep culturally similar to the likes of the Mongols, the Asiatic proper what we think of as Asiatic tribes. They're not.
Well, I was
they're
actually.
not what we.
I was actually.
They're not Durkas.
Yeah, so
That's
I
what
was
I'm trying to say.
so I was actually going to say the Osmans were the Osmans took over territory that were formerly held by the Golden Horde Mongols. So yeah, like you said, their structure resembles.
Even their language, to an extent, is Asian.
Maybe, I don't know, but their governance structure is a lot closer to how not Kublai, the one before him, Mongoki. I can't remember his name, but yeah,
His last name ended with Khan, right?
Yeah, its last name ended with Khan, but basically it was run as an Ilkhanate, so it's completely separate to how the Umayyads ran the show, if you want to put it that way.
But let's put this into grounded perspective. Turkey is not historically it's not a massive what we think of as a Middle Eastern Turkestan country. It is the halfway. It's the meaning halfway house between a European power and like an Asiatic really old world power
like Persia.
Yeah, I was going to say subcontinent, but Persia works well.
Yeah.
It's not an Iran, Persia. It's not Afghanistan. It's not Yemen.
Well, Persia's not Arabic either. Persia's a different. The Farsis are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, the Farsis are related to what do you call them? The Tamarins. The Tamerlanes. Tamarin. The Tamarind Khanate, which is also Mongol. But they've got like a 6,000 year history merged with like their culture, their Mongol culture, and like a whole bunch of other things. They're referred to.
Pull this back.
Yeah, sorry, they're kind of referred to as the Peacock Kingdom as a result of that. But anyway, sorry, go back.
Pulling back, Turkey has in the previous Ottoman Empire, it's a very strange mix of cultures at a very, very strategically important point for the past goodness knows how many thousands of years. The geography, even though the Ottoman Empire has only been around since the 1300s. It is different. It is at the nexus of so many crossroads. It's currently situated near lots of oil, and Russia's got interests in the area. China is trying to build a goodness knows how big railway through to the Middle East and straight into Syria. Was trying to. The West has parked its nuclear weapons, and Turkey's trying to enter the Eurozone. It is at the nexus of so many different worlds, and to think that there's a coup which could only happen completely organically would be a very interesting argument to make. I'm just saying, I'm completely talking out of my ass here, but it is to find out later, 30, 40 years down the road, when all the books have been written, that yes, there was Russian involvement, there was American involvement, there was whatever.
So I just want to put this into context. We lose Lee, and all of a sudden we're automatically into conspiracy theory in our first episode without Lee. So Lee, if you're listening to this, you should probably
Connor presents them so calmly as well. He's doesn't rant and rave.
Yeah, I know. You could be the Australian answer to Alex Jones. Like if you wanted to tone police Alex Jones, you would be what that sounds like.
I'd be, hello Australia, and welcome to Buy My Water Filter channel.
Because fluoride.
No, it would have to be some sort of colloidal silver Foster's.
Are you serious?
Foster's. I don't know. Colloidal silver? It's.
I know what colloidal silver is. And
colloidal silver.
We're not going to get into this. We are not going to get into this. Sorry. There are some conspiracy theories I just don't want to touch, and this is one of them. But moving away from Turkey now.
in the final few minutes.
Yeah, moving away from Turkey now and into Greece. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, Nice. Truck driver runs rampant through.
Another Islamic terrorist attack in, well, France and Europe. So I think it's, because if you break it down, France has had a terrorist attack every couple of months for the past 18 months.
Who do I pray for at this point? Forgive me. Who do I pray for? Should I
hashtag.
Should I have a
hashtag
rotating?
Yeah.
I think I'm just now to have like a rotating scroll of different European flags on my Facebook picture, just in case.
You probably should. I mean, like, if virtue signaling is your thing, you probably
I'm big into virtue signaling.
Yeah.
Oh God,
I've been getting into virtue signaling as well. I mean, like,
once I first heard that phrase virtue signal, it is creeping into my conscious. I am now second guessing what I post on Facebook these days.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh dear, I'm just signaling here. Does anyone else get this?
No.
Where you realise
No, I've gone in the opposite direction. I do it on purpose. I'm like consciously going, how would I signal my virtue about this? And I put a lot of time and effort into it. And every now and then I'm just like, I didn't just get there. I just missed it by this much. And like, I've got a really good friend.
We are really good at just diving around the topic tonight.
Yeah, we are. But like I'm saying,
I blame you, Connor. I mean, you're the one that leads us off on these tangents to like.
But they're fun tangents. They're fun tangents.
Well,
fun tangents.
Who is the greater fool? The fool or the fool who follows him?
We never have this problem with Lee.
Well, look, guys, we can't blame him. It's my job as the moderator to keep us in line, and I'm doing a really shitty job at that because Connor is far more interesting at coming up with random topics that I actually want to talk about, which is,
I'm good like that.
Yeah, virtue signaling is fantastic, except it's not really relevant to Nice, right? Because Nice was like a terrorist attack that happened. And yes, we could talk about virtue signaling about Nice.
Oh.
I know I have very good Facebook friends that did awesome virtue signaling about Nice. I saw something about how.
Sorry, semi-serious thing here. I'll let you finish.
No, I'm actually done. I'm going on a tangent. You go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, when it comes, we've actually gotten pretty cynical about all this. Like extremely. I mean,
because it keeps happening. Like there's
because it keeps happening.
Like every few months, and so
again, being self-conscious here.
And nothing ever changes. Like everyone does this pray for whoever, and what's the other one? Love is love. Everyone expresses their sympathy, and we all have like some sort of candlelight vigil. But same thing keeps happening over and over again. So something we need to discuss. What needs to change. Like
so, just on
how do we solve this problem?
Just on that point, I remember someone asked me once. And it was a while ago. It was when the first Paris attack happened. And they said, why was there so much media attention on the Paris attacks and not as much on like this attack that happened in the Middle East? And I basically said, well, that's because, attacks don't typically happen in Paris. Well, they typically happen in the Middle East. People are slowly becoming more and more desensitized to these attacks in Europe. We just accept it as a facet of life. I am kind of looking forward to never seeing it on TV again.
Well, you're forgetting that people are actually dying in, France and other European countries, and in the United States as well. Like, there is a body count. Like, like it's you can say like, oh,
yes, and there's a body count. And there's a body count in the Middle East as well, and we don't watch it. I'm saying, right? It's just becoming so common that eventually it'll leave our TV screens.
But modern westernized civilization shouldn't go from a point where, it's relatively peaceful and safe onto the streets where, another terrorist attack, we shouldn't be bothered about troops on the street.
I think you forget your historical context. The last 50 years has been very peaceful in the West. I will absolutely agree with you on that. But prior to that, it was a bit of a shit show.
We were really good at killing other people that look like us, and then we just kind of basically we fought for thousands of years in Europe, and then we kind of got bored of that a bit, and then we had a couple of big ones. Napoleon, what happened? March through Russia, Napoleon twice, and then
World War I and II.
And then we got bored of that, so we decided to fight everyone else everywhere else. and we were really good at fighting other people. I mean, quarter of the map was red, for goodness sake. And then afterwards that, we got bored of fighting everyone else, because honestly, the rest of the world just sucks at fighting. Let's not kid ourselves.
They do.
So then we had 2 great big smash-ups, and now we're just kind of pooped. And we're all sitting on the couch,
So your point is now that we're just reverting back to the traditional European
No,
warfare, and that this was just
No.
peaceful period was just.
We are really, really good at fighting, and we love it. But we just kind of overdid it a bit, and now we're kind of a bit tired. So,
Connor Whittle speaking for all of Europe. No. So,
and this is supposed to be a police state.
Yeah,
podcast.
I was going to say.
And throughout all of this, we can bring it back to a police state podcast. All these terror attacks are happening, all this massive militarization of police, nothing's going to stop it. So we shouldn't have fun libertarian plug. Shouldn't have the police state going on.
Yeah,
because it's
that's
not
actually
obvious.
and it's logically sound. I mean, if you've got the militarization of police and it's not stopping a terrorist attack, why are you militarizing the police?
Well, with the likes of
you all know what my opinion is, on this subject, that I think, we need better controlled immigration. I mean, you're right that, more police won't solve this, but, what will solve it is, controlling of immigration from Middle Eastern and North African countries
So they'll
to
just come from
European
somewhere
and
else.
the West.
They'll just come from somewhere else.
like
What do you mean
Fiji.
by that?
Huh?
Fiji.
Yeah, Fiji. No, they'll just pick a different point.
Well,
Maybe they'll pop in through Russia, maybe they'll pop in through, I don't know, wherever the fuck else.
dear God, can you imagine being swamped by Russians?
Jesus Christ. It'd be like the Cold War.
I'm
where
obviously
we-
not going to be able to make a serious point now, because you two have just
Balalaika.
degenerated into this weird, I don't know what to describe it as.
bromance.
I'm not tempted to try and make another serious.
No. Look, I take your point. Like, I'll be serious. So let's pretend we do stop all immigration from Islamic countries. Now, right now, a lot of engineers, doctors, and all sorts of things are coming from the Middle East. How do you plan to replace that?
What, so you don't think that, we could train people here? Is there something? Are you saying there's something about the Middle East that
I'm saying
people in those professions?
No, I'm just saying, as much as I'd like to train them locally, people are much more interested in their gender studies and economics courses.
Hey, there we go. We're getting everything.
And that's part of the problem. I mean, you're actually proving my point that the West has become too ingrained in the sort of crap you're describing, and so we've had to import the actual skilled people.
Yeah,
so that's that actually makes my point that we have the ability to
one second.
have people in these professions.
Let's forget about borders here.
No. Let's
forget about borders here. What if we actually go to full deportation? Now, deportation, the big one, not simply building a wall and building it 10 feet high. What would be better for Australia? Deporting all the Muslims or deporting all of Melbourne? Tasmania.
Well, you can't really deport people who are already here, but you can stop more people from coming in. That's the thing.
Yeah, but what about the terrible Melbournians?
Well, what's terrible about that?
Vikas is thinking very hard here.
Well, I don't get your point. What you're saying is that
he's saying that we should deport the cultural degenerates. That's what he's saying, effectively. To use your language. Why is Connor quiet all of a sudden?
He's gone quiet. He's having to think really hard.
No, my point is that we can't just this is why I say obviously we can't get rid of the people who are causing trouble who are already here. But what we can do is prevent more from coming in and contributing to more terrorist attacks. So we can prevent more of this from happening here. Obviously, we can't control what's already here. It would be good if we could just kick out everybody who commits a crime in our country, but we can't do that. But we can stop more criminals coming in.
I don't know. Imagine if you took all those criminals, found like a continent, and like stuck them on there, and like just walked away for 200 years. I wonder what would happen.
Well, that's actually the next part of the solution is that, you know, we don't interfere in other countries.
That idea might just be so crazy. It could work.
What, the sticking
It's
all the
actually a
convicts on
libertarian foreign policy.
to shovel the convicts on an island. I have a feeling this policy has been tried before. I'm just saying. Sorry, I couldn't help myself. I just found it hilarious. Yeah, but I mean, yeah, I take your point. I just don't see it as an actual solution because
we can control who comes into the country. It's pretty simple.
we already control who's coming into the country. I'm just saying, like, actually closing off the borders. It's just a really great way to send Australia back to the 1950s. Right now, I'm just like sitting there going like massive skill shortages.
There are some people who are going, could be worse.
I don't mean culturally the 1950s. I mean technologically. I mean like skill shortages and like fucking not able to do shit.
So you think there's a trade-off that we get better, we get better skills, but we could get blown up.
That's not how I would phrase it. But
well, you're saying we should accept a greater risk of terrorism to, make sure that we have as many skilled people as we need in this country. That seems to be your argument.
Has it actually been the skilled people that blow up shit?
Well, you're saying we need migration from Middle Eastern countries. Yes, that's what contributing to higher incidence of terrorism in Australia.
To answer your question, Vikas, just from what I read, it's more likely the young male who are above average intelligence that are the engineers and the doctors that are going to become self-radicalised.
Yeah, it's like the second generation, right?
Just as the thing.
Yeah, because it's not the first generation.
It seems to be first generation. There seems to be quite a bit of first generation as well. Second
No,
generation.
No. First generation.
Let's also turn the mirror on us because it is the young male. Well, it's the people like the engineers and whatever. Think of the libertarian, not quite the basic intelligence, whatever, but generally it is kind of above average intelligence. It is more interested in engineering than gender studies. We, as libertarians, we actually self-radicalise quite a bit. If I knew, if I knew what I would believe in when I was, if my teenage self knew what his 23-year-old self would believe in, like that would probably scare me quite a bit. Hans Hermann Hoppe,
No. I take the point. But
we do. Look, we spend a lot of our time on the internet. We self-radicalise in our own way.
Yeah.
It is
But libertarianism is peaceful.
But that's not the point.
Yeah, so long as you stay off my lawn.
Yeah. I was going to say, unless you violate the NAP.
But non-aggression. We don't chase after, non-libertarian believers.
No, but Connor's making the point.
I'm just saying, per the ideology, our demographic, kind of does self-radicalise. It is the people who have higher verbal skills, who are able to spend more time on the internet, who are able to research things and then look deeper to find the things on their own. And those, in our regard, it means I go, taxation is theft, privatise the roads. You should be able to sell heroin to toddlers. But if it's like a young Muslim Connor, it would be, look, taking this stuff to its logical conclusion means, I don't know, whatever.
It means jihad, essentially, is what you're arguing. But yeah. No, I take that point. That's actually a good point. I hadn't considered that. Like, yes, we do self-radicalize.
We take things. We like to take things more to their logical extremes, because it's like if it works at this level, we must keep digging to find out what actually makes the rest of it hold up. And if that works, we like it. Cool. Let's keep digging. until we find, we do, in this regard, we do self-radicalise.
Anyway, Tim, I'm going to give you the last word.
Well, I'll go on from what Connor said, that he's actually making the point that self-radicalisation can happen with different ideologies, but he's actually proved my point that the more you into Islam and take it to its logical conclusion, then yes, there is going to be more extremist and violent views. So that's what I'll say about that. That he's raised the problem that radicalization in Islam is a major problem compared to other ideologies.
Sure. All right.
Right reply. One last right reply.
Oh, fine. You've twisted my arm into it. Go for it.
All right. I didn't quite say that, but I did say that I was responding to your original comment of it's not a dichotomy of suicide bombers or engineers. I'm saying the engineers become the suicide bombers. It's you got to be a bit more
nuanced.
Got to be a bit more into it.
Yeah. All right. So with that in mind, and with all like self-radicalizing all over the place, and basically not able to stay on topic, I'm dubbing this the Seinfeld episode of Taking Liberties rather than the actual police state, which we started
You
off
could
with.
do that. You could sign off with a Seinfeld theme.
I totally should. Anyway, see everyone next week. Bye.
All right.
Bye.
Cheers.